Hello everyone, Darren here, and on today's episode we're going to look at how to play the Tier 10 French tank destroyer, the Foch 155, or, depending on what gun you use, the Foch B. Now since I use 120mm, I'll be referring to the tank as the Foch B. This TD is not the most popular in regards to its armor or reputation of being useless, but with the new gun package, the Foch can be absolutely devastating in the right hands. So let's get started. Now, the armor of the Foch B is both good and very bad. Frontally, the tank is amazing at blocking rushed or snapshots to the front, but careful aim at either of the two cupolas will quickly remove your HP. Sides, rear, and top armor is pretty much non-existent and invites every tank in SPG to turn their attention towards you for free damage farming. Now, mobility on the Foch B is also both good and bad. The Foch B has a pretty good forward speed of 50 kilometers per hour, but a bad reverse speed of 13 kilometers per hour. This means you won't have an issue getting to where you need to go, or keeping up with other tanks near you, but you will have problems reversing if you get caught out alone and surrounded and pretty much into general trouble. The tank also has a chance of fire at 15%, so having a fire extinguisher is recommended, but of course, if your crew has firefighting skills, you could forego the fire extinguisher and use food if you want. Now regarding the guns. Between the two guns, the 120mm is agreed to be the best option of the two. However, since there are two gun options, we will be covering both packages. For the 120mm, the gun has a normal intra-clip reload, at least in terms of French tanks, of 2 seconds, with a base reload of 38 seconds for 6 rounds a clip. The gun also has a base accuracy of 0.34 and an aim time of 2.3 seconds. For elevation and depression, the 120mm has a mediocre gun depression of 6 degrees and an okay elevation of 18 degrees. For the 155mm, the gun has a horrible intra-clip reload of 5 seconds with a base reload of 50 seconds for 3 rounds a clip. As well as a base accuracy of 0.36, the gun also has an aim time of 3 seconds. The 155mm gun also has the same gun depression and elevation angles of the 120mm. Lastly, there is one more difference. The 120mm gun has a horizontal traverse of 10 degrees both directions, while the 155 has a horizontal traverse of 6 degrees in both directions. So a quick disclaimer before I get started into the rest of the information. Because this tank was requested and I don't have a whole lot of experience playing the Foch B, I had to ask help from an individual who is very good in the Foch B. So everything information-wise is coming from their notes, and I'll be quoting directly from what they sent me. In terms of consumables, I run 36 AP, 30 APCR, and 6 HE for when I am certain I will fight multiple thinly armored targets. I run a large repair kit, a large first aid kit, and a food consumable for the large boost to all statistics. Of course, you can run standard consumables if you wish to. Now, if you decide to run the 155mm gun instead of the 120mm, the recommended ammo setup is 24 AP, 6 heat, and 0 HE. For equipment, I use vents, gun lane drive, and binocs. Vents gives me an overall boost to statistics, including the reload. Gun lane drive ensures I'm as accurate as possible in rapidly dumping a clip. This is important as the 120mm unloads faster than it aims. Binocs can be interchanged with optics depending on what you prefer. However, from my experience, the base view range is too low to use optics and still effectively spot for myself at maximum range. Now, how do you play the Foch B? When playing the Foch B, I recommend using the 120mm gun. and it comes down to utilizing its only strength, which is, of course, the large clip. Ideally, you want to be dumping your whole mag while at most taking one shot in return. To make the most of the large clip, I would recommend that your opening clip is always a PCR. The standard ammo is very poor, and if you are unsure of your next target, I would suggest loading a PCR. As you are fairly mobile, at the start of the game, you should find a location that allows you to punish enemy players which are trying to cross vulnerable areas to make it to their positions. Or alternatively, find a location that lets you punish players once they have reached their position. Once the opening plays are no longer viable, then you need to start looking for opportunities to cleanly dump your magazine on isolated or low health players. Sometimes it's difficult to find an opportunity that allows you to dump a mag without getting shot in return. This is where maintaining your HP becomes important. Your HP allows you to take ideally one shot from the enemy tank, at which point you dump your whole mag and likely kill them. I find this the best way to play consistently well with the Foch. Now, that concludes everything that my assistant has stated. Now let's look at a replay he sent in. So here we are on Windstorm, the game mode is Team Destruction, and the assistant who's been providing me some information as well as this replay is Flying Egg. And he's spawned here in the northeastern spawn, as you can see right away. His first clip is APCR. And I also apologize for the dog in the background. I cannot shut it up at this time. Something is bothering her. So he's going to the middle here, and he's going to try and get some cross shots on anyone that is going to be trying to take the northern route, which is very likely that many tanks are going to be taking or trying to get to the northern route because their spawn is kind of pushing them or suggesting them in terms of location that some tanks should go that way. So he's already, because of his speed, he's set up, he's ready to go for any tanks that may head that direction. And as you can see, there's a good amount that are already going there. Now, because these tanks got spotted late in there, he was unable to effectively take lead on some of these tanks. But because this 432 was climbing the hill, he manages to expose himself for Flying Egg to get some shots on there. One missed, one connected. Now, the Conqueror gets in the way completely, ignorant of the fact that the Flying Egg is there. So Flying Egg is not going to wait around. He's going to move, and he's going to reposition himself in order to get some more shots and damage. He triggers this reload because he's moving. He's not in no immediate danger, and because the idea of having a full clip ready to go instead of 3 is much better and a good way of thinking. So he's going to move. He's going to see if the E100 needs assistance or if there's anyone that crossing these bridges that he can get some shots on. He sees that the Conqueror looks like he might want to take a shot. And because he's loaded, ready to go, he tries to eliminate some of these tanks that he's spotting. But because of his distance and the fact that he's shooting up at tanks, and some of these tanks may be very low profile, he's unable to effectively take a shot and have any connect. He did take a shot on the Conqueror, but unfortunately it missed completely because of the small window he had. He catches a Louvet out of in the open here, and using the his quick firing 120 millimeter gun, he manages to have all 5 rounds track and connect against the Louvet, eliminating him. And because he technically did trade 1 shot for 5. That is essentially what he suggested there of really what you want to only take in terms of damage. But because that 1 shot was rushed, he took no damage in it at all. So very good for him. He goes behind these buildings to have a buffer to allow him to reload, and because of his premium consumables of food and his crew skills, his 38 seconds is much faster than 38 seconds, thus allowing him to quickly reload. Catches another Louvet out, uses 1 shot to track it, unfortunately doing no damage, but it's okay. He's got 5 more rounds, and because he's got these 5 rounds, he's able to quickly and efficiently eliminate another Louvet. he's now reloading. He's trying to seek a position to where he can safely reload while still managing to get ready to eliminate another target. He's getting into position, reloading still. What he's going to do now is he's going to go around this corner, and he's going to use his camera to peek around and see if anyone's looking in his direction. Seeing that there is none, he's going to complete his reload here, and then he's going to roll around and try and clip out the T-30. Unfortunately, he, in a rush here, or even just bad accuracy, his first two shots completely miss or don't even penetrate, but his next two shots do connect and take out the T-30. He's reloading now. He triggers a reload, and unfortunately, a T-95 comes up behind him and manages to catch him on fire. And because he does not have a fire extinguisher, he is unable to extinguish it very quickly. Instead, he has to let it burn while his firefighting skills eliminate the fire, thus leaving him with enough HP to be a one-shot for tanks of about 105, 120 millimeters or less, but any high caliber guns, more than likely he is a one-shot for them. So he's loaded, but he's also effectively kind of in a corner here. He's deciding his next move, debating where he wants to go, waiting to see if anything else pops into the open. And because this is also team destruction, he doesn't need to worry about a base either. So pretty much he could effectively sit here and let tanks come to him if he needed to. He's asking for help because, again, he doesn't really have the HP to make a trade. He can't really even trade either because of how... pretty much because of his tank. He's got glaring weak spots on the front. His side, rear, and top armor is non-existent. And he effectively, if caught out alone and tracked more than once, he's pretty much out of the game. Now, he's rushing here to get the flank of the Conqueror here. Manages to sneak around because of his speed. Gets around behind the Conqueror and eliminates him before the Conqueror can even react. Rushing forward, taking use of his speed. He's going to push forward on the Conqueror, eliminating yet another tank with one shot, one kill. And now he's going to sit here effectively at a 2v3, and he's going to try and stay with the 432. He's got 4 rounds left, and he's going to pretty much stick with him and go down and prepare to face these tanks. He's going to take point here because he's got more hit points than the 432. And they're going to push this corner here. At this point, they're just trying to hunt down the light tank and the heavy tank. They catch the arty out in the city, and he manages to get a snapshot on the enemy artillery, which happens to be an equalizer, not firing the burst, or if it was, they managed to kill the equalizer before he could get a full burst out. So it eliminates him with a snapshot. We get to watch this bulldog here just, ramp up the slope there, getting some air, but then immediately getting clipped out and eliminated, thus making that little cool move of his completely redundant. Triggers a reload there because he ran out of ammo, and now he sees that he's getting chased by the heavy tank that happens to eliminate the 432. Now, using this building as a cover to cover the reload, seeing that the heavy tank has made an actual grave mistake, not pursuing the flying egg here. He pretty much allowed flying egg to become or have the advantage now. He's fully loaded. He's got the corner. It doesn't matter what the Conqueror does. All flying egg needs to do right now is just track him before the enemy tank. Heavy tank. I don't know what the tank is right now. I didn't manage to see it in time. But he pretty much gave Flying Egg the advantage because all he has to do is sit there and track the heavy tank before he gets around the corner. It was a Conqueror, my bad. And because of the hesitancy, he allowed Flying Egg to put shots in without having to take any damage in return. Overall, a very, very good game in the Foch. And as you can see, he does over 7k combined damage and a mastery badge, a Radley Walters, a Top Gun, 8 kills, a very, very good game in the Foch B. And that concludes today's video on how to play the Foch 155. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe. But until next time, this has been Darren of WotC Academy.